Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm doing a Let's Talk D&D 5th edition. In this Let's Talk, we're going to be doing a review, a kind of a first impressions, because I have not completed the campaign or completed this book yet. We've only started the first chapter. I've read the entire book. I want to give you my first impressions of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I have some mixed feelings about this book, right? I've got some pluses. There's some really good things about this book, but there's more things that are troubling. Upsetting? No, that's not. That's a too strong of a word. I feel like I am a top tier dungeon master. Okay, I feel like if you were to scale me from about 1 to 10, I'm gonna give myself about a 7, right? I probably maybe an 8. No, we'll call it a 7, a high 7. I feel that I can take this book and I can crush it. I mean, I can make this book, I can make this adventure pop for my players. It's going to be an enjoyable ride. We're going to have a good old time. Okay, I know I can do that. Can I do that straight out of the box? No, you can't do it. Now let me give you a little backstory of myself before we get into this. I run modules. Okay, I love campaign books. I love modules. I like when other people do all my work for me. I love that. Okay, right? So, like, I'll take a module and run it almost just as it's written. If it's a good module. If it's a bad module, I will make modifications to it to make it run smooth, right? I don't consider this to be a good module or a good beginning to the campaign. As written, the overall gist of the story, the theme, the plot, the backstory, it's all excellent. I love that. But the way it's put together and the way it's presented to me as a referee is horrible. I mean, it's and I'm going to go into it. There's going to be some spoilers. So if you are my players, you need to log out. If you are planning on playing in this module with another DM, don't watch this video. Or just be sad because I'm going to spoil it for you. But if you're a referee or you've been thinking about buying this book, understand it's an excellent starting adventure, starting 1st through 5th level. It's excellent if you're confident enough to change it. Okay, so let's talk about something. Does it give you any information on Waterdeep? No. It gives you this thing called Volo's Enchiridion, which is like 5 or 6 pages of... It gives you about 5 or 6 pages worth of Waterdeep. I've got a 3-ring binder over there with 200 pages of Waterdeep in and outs. That's 3rd edition, though. That's maybe it's 2nd edition, but still, it's the box set, the Waterdeep box set. That's where that map came from, was the Waterdeep box set. It gives you all the shops. It doesn't give you any shops. Nothing. Okay, it gives you all the characters, all the lords, and all the 100 different families. You know, this gives you 4 of the 100 families. They just assume that you know about Waterdeep. So if you were getting this book thinking that it was going to tell you about Waterdeep and you were going to be like, oh, this is cool, this is going to open up this city to me. No. This only talks about your interaction with Waterdeep. This only involves you and the villains and the storyline of this story and the people you interact with. It doesn't tell you anything about the city, doesn't tell you how it's run, anything. Except for the Enchiridion, which is like 5 pages. Okay. All right. So having said that, you go into chapter 1, right? And chapter 1 is pretty cool. I thought it was a good. I honestly thought it was a good way to get the players involved in the city. They immediately stand out as being strong, and even though they're first level, they immediately stand out as being like people you could go to and trust. Because, okay, the Yawning Portal. The Yawning Portal, I'm not going to go into all the details of this book because I don't want to spoil everything. But you start them off in the Yawning Portal. That's fine. That's great. They immediately get involved in a fight with a troll. Okay, this troll is like half strength. So the players, like 44 hit points, something like that. The players could easily kill it. Well, maybe not easily, but the players probably could kill it, right? If you got a good party and they're all strong and everything. But Durnan, the owner of the bar, immediately steps in the way. He attacks the troll and tells the players to stand back and watch. Take care of the minions or whatever. These like 2 hit point Sturges. So you guys, handle my light work while I take care of this troll. Well, first of all, that's stepping on the player's toes. It doesn't make the player. When I say there's a difference between a character and a player. The character is the actual avatar, the fictional creation in the campaign. The player is the actual person sitting at the table crying. Or no, I'm exaggerating, but he says, stand back, get out of my way. You guys are all punks. That's not exactly his words. I'm talking about the way he makes the players feel. Like, you guys aren't good enough to fight a troll. Stand back, right? That's not the way to do it. It shouldn't have been written that way. It should have been written where he jumps in and helps the players, or maybe he gives players guidance, while they're doing the fighting, or maybe there is a cleric in the bar that can do healing. Why don't you just leave it up to her to help and have Durnan maybe off to get beer or something for his bar, and he's not there when the troll attacks, because he's a pretty powerful character. You don't want this powerful character overshadowing the players. It makes them feel like they're participating in someone else's story, and that's not what you want. You want them to be participating in their own story. This video is going to be a little long, guys, so stick with me. If you can't stick with me, I understand, and I appreciate you if you watch the whole video. But I plan to go over a little bit of all of this, and I'm going to talk about some stuff that I don't like about it. I just feel it could have been done differently. It doesn't have to be done that way. As a good referee would maybe modify the story a little bit. Maybe they have Durnan help them, or maybe he enters on a couple of rounds later where he had to come downstairs from upstairs or something like that. So the players handle that, right? And then they're immediately approached by Valo. Excellent. Everybody recognizes Valo. They're like, Valo, cool. The players recognize Valo because of Valo's Guide to Monsters, and if they played in Tomb of Annihilation, maybe they met Valo down there too. But he plays a key role in this adventure. He's what gets the adventure started. That was just like a Kickstarter, like, bam, you're in the action, right? But now Valo gives them the quest. The quest is a reasonable one. This is one I was totally okay with this portion of the book. It's still chapter 1. He gives them a quest to find one of his friends that he was drinking with a couple of nights ago, and now he hasn't shown up in a couple of days. He wants to know where he's at. Okay, so you go off looking for this guy, right? And you discover that there is an underworld element in the city. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like feeding you some information about like the Xanathar's Guild and the Zentarum. Great. You get to through your machinations, you find out that Volo's friend and the son of the old Open Lord of Waterdeep they look a lot alike. They're almost very similar, and they both were kidnapped because you find the son of the noble first, and he's friends with Volo's friend, and because of that, you learn a little bit about the nobility and what happened to the Open Lord, which plays a key role in the overall arcing story. You just don't know it yet. The players don't know it yet. And I love that. I thought that was good. That was good. And so then eventually, through all your adventuring, you find the friend, right? You find him. But it's presented in a way that it's not right. Okay, because it's messed up in my opinion, because if the reason why he was captured was because they were trying to capture the noble's son, and the friend got captured by accident. Both of them got captured. Why then is the friend being interrogated and the noble not? Right? Because he was just tied up in a warehouse somewhere. Shouldn't have been the other way around, right? It should have been the other way around. The friend should have been in the warehouse, discarded. They should have found him. And then he said, hey, my buddy, this noble, was also kidnapped. Let's go rescue him. The players would love to do that. They would do that. They're good guys. They're gonna save a noble, man. They gotta make a name for themselves. But that's not the way this scenario is written. You find, and maybe they don't have any confidence in players to do the right thing. Whoever wrote this, I know who wrote it, but maybe they don't have confidence in their players to do the right thing. That's what it kind of was, a slap in the face, that you have to be told what to do. And that's you rescue the noble first. But your quest is still to rescue the friend, so you got to keep going. So you have to do it because you're obligated. I didn't like it. Didn't like it. They continue, they find the friend. The friend is being interrogated by a level 1 wizard. A level 1 wizard. There is a mind flayer in the room. The mind flayer flees when you show up, when the party shows up. What? Why? Okay, I don't know why the mind flayer fled, but he's supposed to flee. And he puts his intellect devourer that he was petting on the ground. Okay, so it's a tough fight because the intellect devourer is pretty nasty, and the level 1 wizards, no, one player could take him out. So, whatever. They rescue him. They take him back. Okay. End of chapter 1. You go to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is pretty cool, but also not. Okay, so instead of paying you, like Volo plans to pay you, he doesn't pay you. He says, oh yeah, I'm going to give you 100 gold each. 400 gold, right? 4-player party. No. Instead, He gives you something worth way more than that. He gives you, but it's not cash, it's a deed. He gives you a deed to property in Waterdeep. Players are going to jump on that. And it's also in like the North Ward, which is where all the nobles live. So players are going to jump on that. So, but that's only if they don't need the money, or if they feel like they work well as a team. Luckily, my party has been together for 3 or 4 different campaigns. They've been playing for years together, so of course they're going to feel comfortable playing with each other. So they go, and this is where I have stopped playing until next week. But now I'm going to go on into the campaign further because I've read it. They're going to find this house. It's run down. It needs repairs. Okay, no problem. There's a ghost inside. I thought that was cool. The ghost is friendly. It's Casper. It's a friendly ghost. So okay. So it's an elf or whatever, but it's a previous bartender. That's fine. I think that's a cool little flavor thing about the house. Okay, that's cool. Then it's going to cost them a fortune to repair this building and get it back up and running. It's a tavern on the downstairs, and then upstairs is their living quarters. So it's like a manor upstairs and a separated tavern downstairs have no access. You got to go outside and back in to get into the tavern. Super cool. Okay, I love the layout of the house. I think it's pretty cool. I think the players are going to love it. But it's going to cost a fortune to renovate it. Okay, they don't have the money. They're first level. Second level. They don't have any money. So then, so these factions are going to approach the players. I thought that was cool. It was a good way to get the players introduced to all the factions in the Forgotten Realms. So it's kind of force feeding a tutorial. This is a tutorial book for your players. So like the Lord's Alliance is going to show up, the Gauntlet's going to show up, the Zentarum is going to show up, the Emerald Enclave. All of those guys are going to show up, plus a couple extras like Force Grey and maybe this Jalaxer is going to show up. But these other factions show up, and they offer the player or players to join their faction. Okay, awesome, right? And there's a representative that they talk to. Perfect. So as a referee, makes it easy for me to introduce the factions. Then there's a chart for each faction. I love this idea. I love this concept. But they have each level, second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level, what the faction wants that player to do. So please go rescue this horse, or please go help this old lady across the street, or whatever, right? From second to fifth level. None of them award any kind of coin. Not one. 0 award coin. None of them award XP. Unless you're a referee that rewards role-playing. Because every one of those is a role-playing encounter. Every one of them. There is no combat in any one of them. And if there is, it's something small like a little house cat or something. It's no combat in all of them from second to fifth level. If they join every faction, I'm just going to say if they each join every faction and they all get sent on the second level quests, which are like 6 or 7 of them, they'll have done 7 things that took like 2 minutes to do each, because it was like, help the old lady across the street, get the house cat off the roof. Okay, so they do these menial tasks for the Lord's Alliance. They do them all. And then they level up. It doesn't seem like right. It doesn't seem right. So me as a referee, I'm going to have to plug in some other encounters, or something's going to have to happen, like a robbery or somebody's going to have to get stabbed or something. Because that whole chapter is like, it explains how to get the tavern back up and running. It costs a fortune. They don't have any money. It talks about the factions and how to join them and what kind of quests they put them on, which are all super simple menial quests. And then there's one last thing it talks about. There are guilds that come to the players trying to find out what their intentions are. And if their intentions are reopening the bar, then they try to charge them money to join their guild, or they interfere with them. Okay, I get it, but they don't have any money. There was nothing that happened in chapter 1 that got them very much money. They got a handful, they got a little bit of money, but not a whole lot, right? So they're pretty much paupers, and then they are being asked to spend money to join guilds, which they can't do. Okay, so one guild member, and this is another big spoiler, one of the guilds hires a were-rat family to discredit the players. So they like hang out in the alleys, scaring passerbys, not to hurt anybody, but just to make it like, oh, that place is infested with rats, right? Or it's got were-rats hanging out there or something like that. Basically, they're just there. Now, the players are going to get mad about this. They're going to figure it out. It's going to take a few days of those little menial quests, and all of a sudden, they're going to hear about these rats, and they're probably going to have to fight some were-rats. Cool. Okay. That gives me a little bit of relief that they can level up. Okay, so I'll put them at 3rd level. At 3rd level, they're going to have more menial tasks to do for their factions. But this is when they discover there's like something happens in the street, some people die, the city guard comes. The players are there first, so they should be able to ask some questions about what happened, and they should find out about this magic item that one of the guys was carrying, and the Stone of Galore or something like that. But basically, they follow the guy, the murderer. They follow him, hopefully, players being good guys and trying to do the right thing and looking for adventure. They're going to do it. They are. That's good. So at least they're not force-feeding that on you in this way. But they are, because if you don't do this, the campaign's over. They don't give you an alternate route. They don't give you, if you don't do this, you can do that instead. No, it's you do this or you don't do this. Done. Right? Oh yeah, back up. Just remember this. In that 2nd chapter, the one where you discover you have a house, you also have a neighborhood. And so you can visit all the shops in the neighborhood, and they detail all the shops and the people in the neighborhood. So you get to talk to them and meet them and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good role-playing opportunities in chapter 2. Okay. So in chapter 3, you chase down the murderer, and you find him and you dispatch him, right? Okay. And that's when chapter 4 starts. It starts immediately after chapter 3. Chapter 4 was, or is, quoted as being, okay, first of all, this module was advertised as being 4 different adventures in one. It's not true. It's not true. There's one adventure in the middle of it, there's 4 paths you can take. And it's not the player's choice which path they take. It's the referee's choice, which takes the multipathing out of the player's hands, puts it in the referee's hands. And based on what I saw in the advertisements and stuff, this is kind of what I thought it would be. They said that this adventure takes place in one of 4 seasons, right? Summer, spring, winter, whatever. Each one of those seasons has a different villain. So I was thinking, that'd be cool. I can play this game as a winter and have one villain, and I could play it again. Maybe when spring comes around, we run it again, and it goes through a whole nother villain. No, because the first 3 chapters are the same. You do the first three chapters, no modification, no changes. But when you go to the 4th chapter, then depending on what season it is, will determine which villain it is, right? So what I did, and this is what I did with my players, I asked them, what season do you want it to be? We could start in the summer, the spring, when do you want it to start in? And they, like 2/3 of them said, winter. Let's do it in the winter. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm running the winter chapter 4. Okay. Chapter 4 is broken down into 4 A, B, C, and D's, and one of them is winter. In chapter 4, winter, there are like 6 locations you visit. And in those locations, it's a chase. You're chasing someone from the rooftops or through a theater or to a boat. There's a bunch of chasing. If you are running it as a spring, guess what? It's a chase in the spring to the same places. If you're it's just the way the weather's different. And there's a minor changes to a couple of the different locations they go to. It's not 4 different things. It's the same thing with a different sheet of paint on top of it. Who the villain is different, so that means like who his thugs are different. Locations are the same. Lazy writing. I think it was lazy writing. Okay, so once you chase that guy down and you get the thing back, or I don't think you get the thing back. When you chase the guy down, you find out where the gold is, which I really didn't tell you anything about it. The main overall arching story is the noble, the father of the noble that you rescued earlier, was the open lord of Waterdeep. He's now the lord of Neverwinter, but when he was the lord of Waterdeep, he made a pact with some dragons or something like that to get gold, where he paid half of it to the dragons, and then he kept half of it for the city to rebuild the city or something like this. But in the meantime, he took like 500,000 gold and he like hid away in some vault. And the whole reason why you're chasing that guy is to find out where that vault is. So you find the vault. The new open lord of Waterdeep thanks you for that and gives you like an enormous sum of money, huge, 50 grand or something like that. And of course the players are going to turn that around and rebuild their inn and all that stuff. And it kind of gives you this whole, like, over the next month or so, have a bunch of people come to the inn begging for money, or old relatives show up wanting money, or you know how it is when you win the lottery, And I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. I can work on that. That's cool. As a good referee, I can write up some stories to have some people come in. But I thought that was a good, like, hey, what happens when money, when you get money, all the guilds are going to come to you trying to get you to do work, and then all the factions are going to come back to you trying to get you to do stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. But that also gives the players enough to equip themselves, get this tavern up and running, and they have a base of operations right here in Waterdeep. That's awesome. And then the final chapter is like a final confrontation. The final confrontations are pretty good. I mean, they really are. But it seems there's only like 3 or 4 pages of each final confrontation. Remember, each one is based on each season. Each season is a different villain, and that villain has okay. There's one villain. There's another villain. There's one villain, and the beholder in the back has another villain. So those are the 4 villains, right? This pair is a villain. I think it's Mansoon, Cassalanters, Jarlaxle, and Xanathar. When depending on your villain, each one goes about it a different way. I feel like I've been robbed, okay? Because this is a pretty thin book already, you know? But when you say I can only run one villain, which is 1/4 of chapter 5, 4 and 5 really, whatever happened to the other 3 chapters, you know? Whatever happened to the 6 chapters, really? Whatever happened to those other 6 chapters? I just got gypped out of 6 chapters. So that's what I'm saying. As a good referee, I might have all of them be the villain, right? They're all doing their thing in the background, in the shadows, and you have to work on, and I'm going to allow the players to kind of pick. Their chase might be only in the winter, but when they come to the end, it might be, they have to figure it out. I might switch it up a little bit. And the book does say if you want to do multiple villains, you can, or you can split it up however you want. And I'm going to have to do that to get my money's worth out of the game and extend the campaign out. Because, shoot, we're going to 2-3 weeks, this book's over. If you have a party, like we did the first chapter in one night. Second chapter, probably one night. Maybe, one night. Third chapter, one night. Fourth chapter, one night. That's what I'm anticipating. Because the chapters are super thin. Okay. I'm not going into the details of the final chapter because that's just in case somebody's watching. But now, let's talk about the quality of the book. Let's talk about the quality of this book. Does the cover look good? Yes. Does it fit the manufacture of the book good? Yeah, I like it. It's like all their adventure books. Yes, it looks good. There are, I should say, maps in this book that are drawn by a new company, a new map-making company that Wizards has hired. It doesn't say it. Like, it gives the... here it is. Dyson Logos. Okay, Dyson. Some of you know that I backed the Fantasy Trip, and I know the Fantasy Trip, Steve Jackson hired Dyson Logos to do his maps. After seeing these maps, I'm disappointed. Right? These are Dyson Logos. I thought, hey man, Dyson Logos. I recognize that name. Sounds good. I don't know why they got rid of the old artist. Maybe he was asking for too much money or something. I don't know the story behind that, and I don't want to speculate. Maybe he's just getting too old to draw pictures. I don't know. But lighting, you might not be able to see that. Okay. See that map? Black and white. That's okay. That's old school. But that's a dungeon. City street. Black and white. Players building. But yeah. Someplace you might visit. Black and white. Yawning portal. Yawning portal. Not even a map in the book. There's no map. Yawning portal. I had to dig up my old Yawning portal map. Now, do they have some illustrations? Colored illustrations? Sure. And those are all really cool. And those are, they got, like, here's the gold coins and stuff like that, which they have names for them, like the dragons and the stuff like that. Street corner, looks really cool. They got each of the, some of the drawings are really cool, but the maps are all black and white. Black and white. Every map, black and white. Okay, don't like that. I liked the maps, but on the flip side, because I do a lot of printing of these maps, it would save me on colored ink. But recently, I've just been drawing them, because why bother printing it if it's just black and white? If it's just black and white, I'll get out my square paper and I'll just draw it. You know, and that's what I did with their player's house. Another thing. That is my old map, right? That is the map. That's a giant map. As you can see, it's like 4 feet long. I laminated it. I put it on a board. I said, this is going to be awesome, right? This is going to be Waterdeep. I already know a lot about Waterdeep. I can share this information. There's one thing. Wizards is woke. Give me a second. Let me go grab the map. Okay, so I'm back. There is a double-sided map. It's a fold-out that you perforated that you can peel out of your book, right? Of Waterdeep. One side is for the Dungeon Master. It has secret hidden locations all over the place. Okay, that's cool. And then the other side has all the city streets and everything else is upside down. But it has all the city streets and everything. And it even, like the field ward, they filled it with streets and put buildings in it. If you look in the field ward over there, it's empty. This is, and then the undercliff or whatever, they fleshed out the undercliff, which I think, okay, that's pretty cool, because that cuts off where the cliff is at. You don't get to see where the undercliff is. So this kind of shows that. That's cool. I'm liking it. Okay, I like this map. I thought this map was awesome. I was like, this map is awesome. Okay, but it's too small. It's hard to see all the streets and all that stuff. And that map is big. I can lay it on the table. We can move figures around on it almost, right? One of the directions in the quest for the missing persons tell you to go to this one street. It tells you to go to Zendar Road, the intersection of Zendar Road and Fillet Lane, or however, if you're English or American, you know. So Fillet Lane or Zendar Road, right? That intersection. I don't have that map out. It's put away somewhere. I'm like, no problem. It's right over here. Let's find it. I know it's generally in this area. So we spent like 10 minutes looking for the Zendar Road. It's not on the original map anywhere, right? They changed the name. There's a name of a street on this map right about there called Slut Lane. Yes, I said it. S-L-U-T, Slut Lane. It's right there. Slut Lane. On that map, it's called Zendar Lane. Someone got woke. Really? Just leave it at, if it's the brothels, if it's the prostitutes or whatever hang out on that road, call it what it is. Really? Okay, now, I'm going to offend some people. Might have already started offending some people. Wizards. This is a trend that I'm seeing in not just Wizards, probably a lot of games, but it really rubbed me the wrong way. This really rubbed me the wrong way. There's a character that the players meet or know in the Yawning Portal. And it says that he's there worrying about his, I said it, worrying about his husband. There's a couple of characters that you meet in your own neighborhood. 2 men married. Don't get me wrong. This is the 20th century, right? Gay marriages, I could care less. It doesn't affect me one way or another, right? That's your business. That's your life. If if you swing that way, that's cool. Whatever. I don't want it forced down my throat. I'm not going to affect you. I don't want you influencing me, right? So my crazy vision is, and this is just me, I think that the Forgotten Realms, crazy on me, I think it's in a fantasy world, right? So anything goes, right? No, I think it's in a medieval fantasy world. And I think there is a clear gender separation, right? I think there are male. No, don't get me wrong. I'll back up. You can be like this female barbarian, with an 18 strength. No problem. You can be a female wizard, I'm cool with that. I mean, that, especially if they're scantily clad, that's the best ones. But no, seriously, if you want to be this monk, cool. I'm okay with all that. But when it comes to, I don't know, maybe I'm just a prude, or maybe I'm just too that's what it is. I'm old-fashioned. But when I think medieval, I think old-fashioned, right? I think it probably exists. It probably happens. But it's not it's like it was in the 70s, right? It was there, it happened, but it wasn't legal, right? Or even older than that, back in the 1770s or 16 or 1570s, that's what I'm trying to say. In the Middle Ages, you would have been hung for something like that, right? Or I don't know, maybe not, I don't know. But I don't mind if like there is a character like that, or if there are a number of characters like that. But I don't like it every other character being that way. They're making, yeah, it's like, I don't know what the percentages are in the real world. I don't know. I just don't think it's 50%. Right? There's probably maybe a high percentage, maybe 25%. I don't even know. I haven't done any research on that. But I just don't like this. I just don't like wizards telling me what someone's sexual preference is. If they just say they have a spouse and leave it up to me to decide if it's a man or a woman. Or if he says, like his date didn't show up, or his, it's his partner, didn't show up. Then I can make it a man, or I can make it a woman, right? Or I can make it two women, or two men, or whatever, right? I don't like it where they forced it down my throat. And they did it twice in that book. The guy in The Yawning Portal, and a couple on your city street. I don't know. There's something about and this goes towards a lot of my personal belief. And if you hate my channel, give me all kinds of hate. I don't care. If you want to not subscribe, don't subscribe. But I feel that the new Wizards is trying, maybe they're overcompensating. Like they're trying too hard to be politically, not politically correct, but woke. Snowflakes. They're trying to be snowflakes, right? And I'm okay if they are totally gender equality is completely cool with me, but I don't want you to go overboard and force it. It's like when you force a burp. The guy didn't need to burp. He just forced it. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm sorry. But just make all the monsters homosexual. That's okay. Whatever. Sorry. Maybe I'm a homophobe. I don't know. But I'm sorry. You know, I don't mean to be a dick about it or anything. And what do they say? Half my friends are homosexual. No, that's not true. I probably have like 2 friends that are homosexual. But still, I don't have a problem with them. You know, and I don't have a problem with someone role playing one. You know, if you want to be, that's cool. I mean, it's whatever you want to do. You know, if it enhances the story, I'm okay with it. But that's another thing. It doesn't enhance the story in one way at all. Either one of those two. There's no reason for it. They just threw it in there to throw it in there. To say, check it out, man. We got a couple of these characters in here. Don't do that. Tell me a story. Like, why is it like that? Like, does it influence the story in one way or another? If she was like, let's back up and flip the script. If the guy in the yawning portal said his wife was missing or is waiting for his wife, would that have affected the story in one way or another? No, it wouldn't have affected the story in one way or another. And by him saying his husband isn't there, I'm like, it doesn't affect the story either. It just felt like it just, I don't know, it just felt like it was up in my face. I'm sorry. All right, guys, that's about it for the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Okay, remember, this only takes you to 5th level, but that's not really true, because if you do a couple of those sessions in the 4th chapter, you could technically bring your guys up to 6th level, right? And that's what I kind of think I'm going to do. Is I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fudge with it a little bit. I'm going to modify some things and make it work, and it's going to be exciting for my players. I hope so. It can be done. It's really a cool concept, a cool adventure. I just don't like the way it's written. You know, and I don't like the way they force things down your throat. Like the way the adventure is, it's linear. It's like you start here, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. If it's a winter, you go this way. If it's summer, you go this way. And if it's spring, you go this way. And it doesn't matter. You're still only going in one direction. So when I get another, like next year, do I want to run this adventure again and go a different direction? No, because the first 3 chapters are the same for everybody. So I would have to get if I have a bunch of different players, like if I want to run this twice at a convention or something, you couldn't do it. You just don't have enough time. But if I had a party and I said, let's run this a second time, if there are a bunch of different players, as a reward to myself, I might pick a different season, and that way I can see how it would differ, or I could go in a different direction. But that's really unfair to the players. The players should have the option to do all that. It shouldn't be my choice as a referee. As a referee, I run this game for the players. I get enjoyment out of making it fun for them. So, in effect, we all win. If it's just me getting the enjoyment and they're not getting any, then I'm not having any fun. I don't know if that made any sense, but... All right, guys. Thanks for coming out and checking out this video. I think it's going to be okay.